Good morning, good morning, good morning. Another glorious and wonderful and beautiful day. You know, that could sound monotonous sometimes, but it's truth every time that God makes good things. I heard someone say recently about the day, this is the day the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. And he said, when you try to compare yourself with God, when people try to compete with God and say, well, get high on their britches or whatever and think that they can say some or talk some smack, I'll say. You ask, well, what did you do, God, today? He says, well, I created a whole new day. That's tomorrow. Every day he has a whole new day for us. Now in reality we know that our measurement of the day, it's we rotate the earth, or whether the earth rotates, and we see the sun. In reality, it's perpetual. God is constantly with good stuff. You could say it's every day is a new day, and that's good for us. But with God, there isn't even a 24/7. It's constant. The sun is there, and the earth is going around, and it's spinning, and he's managing. I'll say he's got the laws in motion, and he is 24/7 or perpetual good. The word for eternity, I think, in the New Testament at least, the Greek word for eternity meant without beginning and without end. It's not like from here to onward, starting now, it's eternal. There is none. It's just whoop, everything. There is no start, there is no stop. It's eternal. God is eternal, and he's eternally good. He's always been good, and he's always wanted us to experience and to know and to come back into his goodness. Amen. Well, now that I rambled on a little bit, I want to read back in Hebrews chapter 11, where he says in verse 1, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, for by it the men of old obtained a good report. By faith, through confidence in God and action on that belief in what he says, we take hold of a good report. We get a good report card for all eternity, all time. Verse 5, and jump to verse 5 today. By faith, Enoch was taken to heaven so that he would not see death. He was not found because God took him away. Now it says, if you go back to Genesis, I think chapter 4 maybe, I didn't pull that one up again, but it says Enoch walked with God. He walked. There was God with him, and he was walking. It doesn't say that God came back down in the flesh. God manifested himself. We don't know what he saw when he walked with God. It says he walked with God. He had to have done it by faith, though, because it's talking about by faith. He was taken to heaven so that he would not see death. He was not found because God took him away. For before he was taken, he had this commendation that he pleased God. And without faith, it is impossible. There's no possibility to please him. For he who comes to God must believe that he exists and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him, constantly pursue him. That kind of had me thinking about what I was reading this morning in John chapter 15, where Jesus had said, I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that bears no fruit, he takes away. And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. You are already clean or pruned through the word which I have spoken to you. Remain in me. He said, walk. What did Enoch do? He walked with him. Jesus said, remain in me, as I also remain in you. As a branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it remains in the vine. Neither can you unless you remain in me. Now it should be said, if we're going to tie that together with Hebrews chapter 11, remain in me in faith. Have a constant expectation in faith, remaining in me. Then he says in verse 5, John 15:5, I am the vine, you are the branches. He who remains in me and I in him bears much fruit. First he tells you, you better remain in me, because you can't do anything without it. But then he says, if you remain in me and I am in you, you bear much fruit. For without me you can do nothing. And then if you don't remain in him, he says, if a man does not remain in me, he's thrown out as a branch and withers, and they gather them and throw them into the fire, and they are burned. If you remain in me, and my words remain in me, you will ask whatever you desire, and it shall be done for you. My Father is glorified by this. That sounds a little bit like pleasing him, right? My Father is glorified by this, that you bear much fruit. So you will be my disciples. How did they bear fruit? By remaining in him and his word his word remaining in them. They're in him, he's in them. You're in him, he's in you. I'm in him, he's in me. Enoch walked with God. He was with him. We are with him and in him. It's a persistent fellowship, partaking of the Lord. Not just adhering to a few scriptures, not just the showing up at church, not just a banner that we wave that says, "This is my faith." No, it's how can you say, I don't want to use the word synergy, that's overused, but it's a oneness, a life of remaining in him. And we do it in faith, and with that faith, we please God and obtain a good testimony. Amen. Be blessed.